Hey, welcome back. Highly Animated Podcast. You got your hosts, Jason, along with Spencer, getting back to the the grind. Do apologize for the gap in between where we left off. Had some stuff come up, holiday breaks, went and saw family. Going forward, we're definitely planning on having a lot more regularly scheduled pods coming out, get you more content, get you more information kind of from a layman's perspective on anime. This one specifically, we kind of curated towards the earlier kind of beginning standpoint. Jason, you want to let them know what we got going on this episode?
Absolutely. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about top 10 anime that we feel like the average person can get into. And when I say top 10, I'm not really saying, hey, this is our one, two, three, and four best shows. This top 10 list is what we took from a bunch of different genres. We said what we thought was the number one easiest stuff for you guys out there to get into. And we'd love to get your comments and feedback on it. As we're going through this, and we're going to talk about, we'll read the description, we'll give a little bit of our feedback on them, and we'll kind of bump through these episodes one by one. So without further ado, Spencer, go ahead and take us off with number one.
Well, and I think too, we definitely want to preface, right? Obviously, big three. We're not including the big three in this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Some of the longer running shows that maybe have what some people are going to see as intimidating length to them. Not going to include that. Don't want
Yeah, we left
anybody to
those
think, oh my
off.
God, yeah, you got 50 banger, you got a 70, 100 banger. Where that's too much meat for somebody to get into right off the bat. So
And
it
guys, when he
has
says
been
100
curated.
banger, that means 100 episodes. Just so we're out there knowing.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, would assume fairly standard, but
Yeah.
I think
Anyways.
that's a good thing. And then you mentioned the genres too. I know we've been in the world for a little bit here now, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think even still, how we perceive some of these genres can be a little bit different from how other people, or specifically at least the anime community, looks into them, right? I mean, obviously
Absolutely.
you got your basics, you got your fantasy, your slice of life, your action, your adventure, your drama, kind of comedy stuff, right? I think we broke them up into a little bit. I mean, they still follow that same kind of process, that mindset, right? But we kind of did it more like, fantasy worlds, not specifically just isekai, but maybe just vaguely transported to another world, some kind of
Yep.
a, mind fuck
Mind fuck.
show. Yeah, things of that nature, right? Try to
Yeah.
put our own little spin on how we, excuse me, we viewed these shows, but yeah, I think if we just get into it, and again, kind of like what he said, this list is not at all. Number one is not the number one you should go watch right now. This is
Yeah,
the one
absolutely
we
not.
rated as number one. This is just from the list that we made, how we procured that list. This is where we're getting into it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the first one that we will come up to, which we pulled out of the um,
Oh, do we have that list up? Fuck. Probably
yeah,
should have that list up.
yeah. I was just
I'm
realizing,
gonna
I
put
was
up
like,
on my phone.
this was one of our mind fucks. This was the mind fuck category
Yeah, you're right. It
specifically.
is.
Okay, right. So this one, this show is called Darwin's Game. Came out a couple years ago. Fortunately, as we were just kind of looking into it a little bit more, come to find out, as of now, we got no season two on the horizon, which sucks because this first
Bullshit.
episode was lit. It was super badass. Uh, but to give you a little idea into kind of what it got into, what it talked about, the premise of the show, we pulled up some of the synopsis of the show a little bit just to kind of read you out. Maybe it hooks you, maybe it doesn't. No worries one way or the other. But so you got high school student Kaname Sudo receives an invitation from a classmate to play Darwin's Game, mobile game that he has never heard of. However, as soon as he opens the application, a green snake suddenly pops out from his phone screen, bites his neck, leaving him unconscious. Waking up in the infirmary without any signs of a snake bite, he is told by the school to take the rest of the day off. Although he is puzzled by what happened, he dismisses the surreal experience as a hallucination and boards the train for home. Unfortunately, his curiosity gets the better of him, and he uses the application once again. As the application appears to be just like every other battle game on his phone, Kaname breathes out a sigh of relief, decides to start his first match. However, the pleasant surprise is short lived, as his in game opponent unexpectedly appears right in front of him and attempts to hunt him down with a knife.
So what does it say on the bottom for what genres they determine that is?
I think this one was broken up into sci-fi. I mean, this is what it's saying. This is not my
Yeah,
take on it, but
exactly. No, that's what I want to
sci-fi
know.
mystery drama. Well,
Okay.
and I guess I would agree with that. I think it's definitely a little bit more actiony than that. You
Absolutely.
got a lot of fighting going on. You got a lot of different, definitely sci-fi aspects. Kind of the the powers and the things that they do and get access to as they get into this game, and obviously just the game in and of itself. This is a mobile game, so you got the technology aspect, but
I think it's a great storyline. It's definitely very original. All of us out there have played a game or two on your phone at one point, and imagine if that game could potentially lead to you dying. Like that's fucking wild. So definitely something I'd recommend to people who, you know what I mean, right? What would you say? Like the gory, good, gritty storyline.
yeah, no, well, I mean,
Yeah,
I think even too, as much as I hate to be like, oh, hey, I'm super into the dramas, there is a pretty strong like drama based background to it. Not necessarily in terms of like, oh my God, like she's getting with him and he's getting with her, kind of a drama, but
a
where
drama. Yeah,
it's thrilling, it's gripping, it kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat where you're like, oh my, what's gonna happen next? Oh man, this happens, and kind of like we talked about in the other ones, right? I thought the story was good. I enjoyed
yeah.
the story. It wasn't super linear where it was just like you can kind of guess what's gonna happen in the future, how it's gonna break down.
Definitely leaves you on the edge of your seat.
You even got a little bit, yeah, you even got a little bit of I guess you could say romance a little bit, maybe a little a
Yeah,
little one-sided
a
romance,
little
but
one, definitely one sided. But yes, it's in there.
yeah, and so overall, yeah, no, I think it's a great episode. I think for people, and again, right, we're only one season. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was only a 12 episode, 13 episode show, so it
Correct.
wasn't
Hmm.
nothing. You could finish it. You could finish it a couple hours, right? And you're like, oh man. Early on, to be honest, you're either gonna be like, hey, this is dope, or hey, this is not dope. So I think from there you can make an easy deference on whether that's something you'll be able to get into or not.
And to elaborate more for all those, listening out to us right now, the idea behind this is we want you to say why. Like you might look at it and say, "Hey, nope, I'm not going to watch it." Well, tell us why. Go down to the comments, let us know. And if you watched it, we even want to hear even more what you think. It doesn't matter if you don't like it or not. We just want to know why. Why do you not like it? Why is it not intriguing? Because you read that to me, and I'm like, that sounds pretty fucking cool, And I mean, if that was a regular TV show, I don't know of a TV show where the only thing I can think of a phone where you're high pressure situation, you're gonna die is that old ass fucking movie with Colin Farrell, Phone Booth with Kiefer Sutherland with the sniper on him. Remember that shit?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
not even
yeah.
close to the premise of this show. I'm just saying, like high octane, your phone, like the application in which they're using to create the suspense. It's just your cell phone. So like to do all of that with the show, definitely was very impressed. So yeah, we definitely recommend that to you guys. And like I said, I'll probably just bring up that comment thing the one time, maybe at the very end when we're talking about the rest of them. But we want to hear what you guys think. So for number two, again, the list is just we're just doing it as we're going. Is The Rising of the Shield Hero, and this is a very popular show. A lot of people out there know about it. Even people I've talked to in passing who necessarily don't know anime might have heard or seen some about it. So the show generates a lot of attention, and for good reason. Me and Spencer are big fans of this show. So I'm going to go ahead and read for you guys, and we'll see what you guys all think out there. Iwatani Nafumi, a run-of-the-mill otaka, finds a book in the library that summons him to another world. He is tasked with joining the sword, spear, and bow as one of the four cardinal heroes and fighting the waves of catastrophe as the shield hero. Excited by the prospect of a grand adventure, Nafumi sets off with his party. However, merely a few days later, he's betrayed and loses all his money, dignity, and respect. Unable to trust anyone anymore, he employs a slave named Ratalia and takes on the waves and the world. But will he really find a way to overturn this desperate situation? And down here at the bottom, they call this an action adventure drama fantasy. We listed it as, and I should have it up on my computer instead of my phone,
I think
as
we just put
transported to
this.
another world.
Yeah,
Transported to another
kind of
world,
fell into our isekai list, but
which is
I mean,
massive.
this could almost don't even be like kind of a mindfuck thing, especially you talking about right how the dark goriness of it early. I mean, shit, what is it? Episode
Yeah,
one, episode two, or some shit?
episode
You're
one or
like,
two gets betrayed.
holy shit! What? Yeah, what just
Mm-hmm.
happened? Like, maybe don't give out everything that's happening over here. Let people get into it, find out for themselves. But
It says betrayed
um,
in there. I mean, pretty much.
yeah, yeah, and
It
then
does. He's betrayed and loses all his money.
and it's crazy how he then goes from that standing throughout the and what we just get season 3 or what was that season 2?
Season 2 just ended.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
a couple
season 2
months
just
ago,
ended.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, let's be
Yeah,
honest, I
it's
think
definitely a
season 1 was
show.
probably better, but
Season 1 was definitely better. So this is the show for if you're into fantasy worlds, if you're in a great strong storyline, you should definitely check this one out. This would definitely be up there on that list. And so yeah,
I think even with
let us
this
know
one
what you
too,
think about that.
they do a great job kind of world building. You're not just stuck in one area the whole time. They do a lot of traveling. You meet a
One
lot of
city
different
and stuff. Yeah.
characters. Yeah, they're moving around from there. You get a great cast of um, you know, different characters coming from maybe not completely different backgrounds, but a different happening of where they got led to, what's happening to them at this point in time, and how they kind of all come together. So it ends up being a very almost kind of Darwin's Game esque, actually, when you think about it, from kind of like the end of what happens and what they do at the end of season 1 and Darwin's Game to what
Yeah,
happens at the end of season 1 and Shield Hero, but um,
they're
yeah,
definitely
no,
similar. I'd agree.
definitely go. And what I think Shield Hero season 1, that's a 24 episode.
24 episode,
24
definitely.
episodes. So you
And
definitely got some meat, right? Like if you want something a little more intensive than just 12 episodes, boom, here we double them up for you, doubled up.
it's there, ready to go. And to elaborate, usually when a season does 24 episodes, those are some of the best ones. Not that a 12 or 13 episode isn't a great show and season, there's plenty of them. But or at least us as anime fans, when you see that 24 episodes, you're like, for us, it's like green light. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't do a 24 episode season unless you know it's going to be good. And they're typically based off really good mangas that generate a lot of popularity before they become an anime.
Yep. Which I think would just draw us right into the next one. Definitely a super popular one. Definitely one that hit the the world, really, I think, kind of by storm. You have a handful of them that every now and then are coming out. And I think we have a couple of them on this list, actually. But
We
next
do.
one we're going into, Demon Slayer. I'm not even going to attempt to try to say what, Kimetsu no Yaba, whatever, right? But we
Wait till
over
you hear
here
the next one I got to say.
we know about it as Demon Slayer. And I think a lot of people know this one. This one's super popular. Just had the movie came out last
Super
year.
popular.
A lot of people, even if they're not familiar with anime, again, have heard of this, and I think on a lot bigger scale than maybe Shield Hero,
Oh,
some of the other
absolutely.
things that we might mention on this
Yeah.
list. But
It might be number one, to be honest,
yeah, but
as
I
far
mean,
as
really, just to kind
recognizability
of
goes.
at least give maybe somebody who has not heard about it some idea, right? This is really set in the Taisho period Japan. You got the main character Tanjiro, kind-hearted boy. He's selling charcoal for a living. Finds his family slaughtered one day by a demon. To make matters worse, his younger sister Nezuko, the sole survivor of her family, has been transformed into a demon herself. So now you're going through this horrific story, right? Tanjiro is devastated by the grim reality of what's happened and ends up resolving to become a demon slayer so that he can find some way to turn his sister, who's now a demon, back into a human. So, and I think a lot of it too going into that, right? Kind of the revenge. You got a strong revenge aspect. He's trying to get
Mm-hmm.
revenge for the demon that killed his family. And I think my number one thing about this show, fucking love the art style. I think the art style in this show is badass, especially when they're doing as you kind of get on a little bit further and they start not even just the Demon
Can you
Slayers
stop
themselves,
reading
but
my mind, dude? I was literally
yeah,
about to say that.
that's what I'm saying. And not even the Demon Slayers themselves.
Graphic art's great.
The demons as well got savage ass moves. It just look badass. I think
Mm-hmm.
the whole way they set everything up, and it is dark. It's dark, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for sunshine and rainbows, this isn't necessarily
Not
always that
your
point.
show.
But
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
that being
you're
said,
right.
that there are some lighthearted moments. You know
I
what I
was gonna
mean?
say
Like,
the characters have good comedy basis in those like you said, perfect example, light or perfect wording, lighthearted moments, definitely that builds up those characters throughout. I would agree.
and obviously he ends up getting his own kind of crew, and they endear you to those characters, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get opened up to the wider audience. And again, this was another one. Most recent season just came out. Shit, I don't know what, a couple months ago.
Yeah, a couple
Probably
months
more than
ago
a couple
too.
months ago now. But
Well,
uh,
yeah, when it first came out.
the only thing that sucked about that, I was kind of pissed. It was a shorter season. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? You're giving me a lot more meat here. I mean, we in the area that they're in. You could have got lot more going on there. Could have got a lot darker too, to be honest.
A lot
But
darker, yeah. I mean, that movie was something else. I think that's what
oh
everyone's heard
yeah,
about. I mean, that's very well done. It's probably why they shortchanged the second season. Fucking assholes.
I wouldn't be surprised. But so that's a great one to get into, especially too. I mean, even though it is dark and it is brutal, I would say it's almost not kid friendly, but a younger audience could potentially watch that and still not be exposed to your typical some of the anime tropes as far whether I'm all about the big titty bitches, right? This is not really that doesn't really get into that. I mean, yeah, you got some good looking little anime chicks in there and whatnot, but that's not what it's not the fan service side of things. It's not
Wait,
the
you're into big ass titties?
what?
Wait, you're into big ass titties? That's what you like?
I mean, not only.
Sorry, I couldn't help but pass it up. We talk about that off air too much, guys, when we're listening to the first episode. So that was my little interruption. My bad. Yeah, no, but you're right. The fan service, each episode stacks up differently with different, I guess, for lack of better words, for me on my end, the aspects that they bring to the show. And everyone has their interest, right? Whether it be like you said, fan service, the action, the graphic art itself, the story, how it's perceived. I mean, to be honest, to just kind of give it a little break in a second before we lead on to the one I'm talking about, how many different art styles and stuff do you think there is? Because we talked about this before, like on other shows. I won't elaborate too much on them, but you're like, no,
Mm,
don't like it, whatever, right? Like it's hard for me to differentiate all of them. There's definitely clear ones, right? Where it's like, nope, that's different. But for me, I'm like
yeah.
3, 4, maybe that I can really think of, and even then, that's kind of like ticky tacky.
I mean, if we're trying to put a name to the style, if we're trying to
Yeah,
quantify that style, I mean, fuck, dude, there's probably a ton of them. I think every
probably.
single you could look show to show to show to show probably has some variation of difference where they're like
Yeah,
that artist or that creator, whatever. It's like, no, this is my style. I mean, you can
yeah.
look. They post you get shit they post on the internet where it's like, hey, I'm gonna take one character and make this character into uh one Piece style, Naruto
Mm-hmm.
style, Dragon
Mm-hmm.
Ball style, ReZero style, right? Like all and it's that same character the entire time, but each different little picture looks a little bit different,
Looks a
even though
little
it's
bit
still the
different.
same
Yeah.
character. So I mean, I
So
think
yeah,
you could almost say like infinite amount of art styles. Really, it's just like nobody's ever gonna draw the same thing the same way twice, really.
yeah. True. And so yeah, I would love to get people's feedback on it in the comments too. Like that's one thing I think will be kind of make or break for some people, right? It's make or break for you sometimes, right? You see something, you're like, nope,
Oh, big time,
you're
big
right.
time.
And then that's not as much for me. Like for me, I can kind of we've talked about this. I'm like, hey, I still think it looks pretty good. Like I like the action, whatever. So I kind of push through sometimes on
Yeah.
some of that art. It's not my high point like it is for you.
Hey, well,
But
and fuck you. To be fair, that's not my sole reason.
I know.
Generally, right? That's that is a big
That
determining
is
factor. Yeah,
generalization.
for
That I
sure,
generalized
for
you for
sure.
sure.
But if it's fucking boring, if I'm 8, 6, whatever episodes deep, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, and it's like a chore to move
Don't you
forward, I'm
dare
like,
say the show. I know which one you're talking
I'm not
about.
saying any shows.
Don't you
We talk about the
dare.
shows later. We can talk about them later. I'm just saying, you know that shit's out there, and that's
It
not my
is.
only reason.
For sure. Absolutely. 100%. Well, number 4 is again huge popular show, and this has got the most meat on our list, I believe. This is based on apocalypse and human world ending. We called it apocalypses and humans are threatened because some of these shows varied.
Yeah,
And
don't even
this,
say the name. Actually, read the description first, and we'll see if people know what the fucking name is.
yeah, and comment if you know what the show is because this is a popular one. So yeah, I'll go ahead and read this out. Known, oh yeah, let me try to take a stab at it like you did with its Japanese name. Known in Japan as Shingeki no Kyojin. Many years ago, the last remnants of humanity were forced to retreat behind the towering walls of a fortified city to escape the massive, man-eating titans that roamed the land outside their fortress. Only the heroic members of the scouting legion dared to stray beyond the safety of the walls. But even those brave warriors seldom returned alive. Those within the city clung to the illusion of a peaceful existence until the day that dream was shattered, and their slim chance at survival was reduced to one horrifying choice: kill or be devoured. And that just like, ooh, I almost got like a little chill reading that at the end because like we've seen this show, we know it, and it's just like I
Scout
just got a
life,
little
scout life.
got to chill down my spine. We'd love to hear you guys' comments on that after reading that. And I'll what timestamp? What are we at right now? What are we at? We're at
Ford.
21 minutes. 21 minutes
Mhm,
into the show.
mhm, mhm.
So I don't know how we got to figure that out. How we can make sure that people aren't cheating after I say it. But the show is called Attack on Titan. For those that didn't know, based off the description, if you did
What do
know,
you mean
definitely let
cheating?
us know. What's up?
How are they cheating? What do you mean cheating?
Well, I mean, just because like we don't know when people are
Skip ahead.
commenting. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like,
I mean,
uh,
what are you like a
I mean, those fucking
Gestapo?
people aren't going to comment anyways. Yeah, fuck yeah, I am, dude. I'm going to make
Mm,
sure. I'm out here checking every comment, timestamp. Well, hey, papers, show me what time you got here.
yeah, out here, red scare, dude. What? You like communist? You like communism? Oh, that's it, boy.
That's it, boy, for you. But yeah, this show just hits on so many notes. You want a good drama? It's
Probably one
there.
of my favorite. Probably both of us, right?
Yeah.
One of the favorite shows out of
Oh
the ones
yeah.
that we're going to talk on here.
Yeah.
We like all of these shows, but this show, I think,
Absolutely.
universally is. I mean, fuck. When the show came out, whenever this show came out, it took the world by storm,
By
dude.
storm. I
Like,
want to say like 2014 or something. It's been out a
I think,
while. Maybe 15 or
yeah,
16, something like that.
I think somewhere around that. It came out when I was in college, and like people that I was going to school with, I'm like, what the? This does not seem like somebody who is whatsoever interested, involved in, has any knowledge of the. And I was kind of like that too. I I
2013, by
I
the
had a
way.
little bit. I had a little bit more. Yeah. So pretty early on. I mean, and it probably wasn't just initial. It might have been a couple 5 months, 6 months, a year later, right?
Hmm.
Whenever that it really started having that impact. But I mean, you were hearing people talking about that shit everywhere.
Yeah, all the time. All the time. And yeah, so it came out 2013. It looks like I was about to slam dunk on Crunchyroll and be like, oh, these fucking punks don't even have like the year of the show at the top. But lucky for them, I scrolled down to the bottom and people were commenting on the show. And one of the first comments is April 15th, 2013. So
Mm, mm.
must have been right around then. But yeah, you nailed it. It took the world by storm. You got action, you got adventure, you got drama, you got fantasy, you got fucking insane gore. So like
You
if
got
you
some
get
romance.
some romance for sure, you got great character development. But if you're not into gore, don't watch the show. Like, but that being said, amazing fucking show, absolutely amazing.
I mean, and realistically too, even if you're not into the gore, you can still appreciate from a story standpoint what happens. I think
It's
one of the
so
biggest
strong.
things that people enjoy with this show from probably more of an animated, anime orientated mindset the plot armor for characters is a lot less than it is in other shows.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and for those of you who are not familiar with that, I mean the and correct me if I'm wrong here, Jason. You know, and people are gonna be pissed. I never watched Game of Thrones, but I'm pretty sure a
Mm,
lot of people's
mm.
favorite characters in that show
Mm-hmm.
get introduced. They're there for a little bit, they die.
Yep.
That
That
that's very
100% true.
similar to Attack on Titan.
Very
There
much, man. We've
is
talked about
a
it a bunch.
lot of death, right?
Lots.
So, definitely
If you're a
buckle
fan of
up
Game of Thrones, yeah,
if you're getting into that shit for sure.
definitely.
But I think continuing to move on, right? We got our next one. Next one definitely it's probably I don't know if it's I think it's probably the oldest one that we have on this list, tied with
E-
maybe the next one that you're gonna hit. It probably would have been better better if we did a little bit of research. Well, hey, we're just coming out here. We're fucking winging this shit. We just like talking
Winging it.
about this shit. We just
Absolutely.
enjoy trying to share it to other people. I think, especially this past month, right? Trying to get a lot more people into other shows. We've been successful. We've
We have
gotten a
been.
lot of other people to watch a couple other shows that they haven't been into before. Now they're coming back. They're like, oh hey, what do you think we should watch now, right? Man, I'm no expert over here, but beyond that,
You may
I think
not be
this
an
is
expert.
either.
I'm an expert, though. Just wanted to
Yeah,
elaborate.
yeah, yeah. You think you're expert in a lot of shit.
Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead. Get
Yeah,
to the next
yeah,
show. God
yeah,
damn it.
yeah. Just chill out, chill out. So this is either the oldest or the second to oldest show. Actually, I'm probably saying it's probably the second to oldest show now. Well,
I
I'll have
think
to
you're
look it
right.
up, when you're
I think you're
talking,
right,
but
though.
or maybe
Yeah.
you're already looking it up. Yeah, so you're fucking cheating, dude. You over here trying to scapo people.
Yeah.
So
That's.
we'll do the same thing. We won't hit the name until after we read the description, but so one day, while playing the online game Elder Tales, 30,000 players suddenly find themselves trapped in another world. There are 88-year, excuse me, their 8-year veteran gamer Shiro also gets left behind. The trapped players are still alive, but they remain in combat with monsters. The players don't understand what has happened to them, and they flee to Akiba, the largest city in Tokyo, where they are thrown into chaos. Once proud of his loner lifestyle, Shiro forms a guild called Log Horizon with his old friend Naogutsu, female assassin Akatsuki, and others. But it kind of gives it away in the description, right? This show is actually called Log Horizon.
Ding, ding, ding.
Probably the second. Actually, this one might even have a little bit more meat than Attack on Titan. I'm not sure off the top of. I think there's
I
3 seasons
don't
in this
think
as
it
well.
does. I think
No.
it's 3 seasons of like 24. I think it's under 60. So
Oh,
Attack on Titan's
okay.
like
It
90.
it's kind of close,
So
and even too when we were thinking about putting this on the list, we were kind of like, this might be a little too intimidating. There might be too much
mm-hmm.
meat to this show. But I
Yeah.
think what's really great about this show is it's a show for anybody. There's
Mm-hmm.
not too much of any one thing. There's not an over. Uh, there's action. There's violence. There's some level of gore, but not to the point like you. I would be confident saying pretty much anybody could watch this show regardless of age. You're 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever. Like I would feel comfortable saying they could watch the show if you
I'm
have
with you.
kids that are into that kind of stuff, and they're gonna get pulled into it. Like great action, great world building, great story, great character
Character
development.
development.
You see a whole
Mm-hmm.
different subsection of things happening all across, and probably for younger kids now too, right? They don't even go outside anymore. It's just all about the games and everything. Like they
Mm-hmm.
they probably dream about getting stuck in games like this, right? Like fuck, maybe a little bit back in my day, I'm like,
I
shit,
did
dude,
too.
yeah, like man, this
You
be
know me.
dope, bro.
This is right
Like,
up my fucking alley. And to take the mic away from you for a second, like you got me into this show. Like you told me about it, and I watched it, and oh man, I sunk all the way in. And yeah, like me and you, more back in the day than nowadays, right? Really into video games, like any young man really typically is. And who wouldn't? When you watch a movie, you watch Avatar, right? Everyone's brand new fucking Avatars out, and people are bitching about the box office about it, but whatever. That fantasy world, would you not want to be able to be hooked up and go into that? I would, for fucking
oh yeah,
sure. You know what I mean?
damn
So I
straight.
think a lot of people have that feeling. Like if you're like, hey, you got the opportunity to be sucked into the Star Wars world. I'm like, sign me the fuck up. You know, like what? Like Lord of the Rings, what? Like all that I'm down with. So yeah, when I saw Log Horizon, yeah, you nailed it. It's the perfect like medium show. Like we talked about this before. It hits its high notes, it hits its, I guess what you can call low notes or slower moments, and it just blends it all so well. I'm with you. I think it's one of the more, on this list at least, one of the more well balanced shows. Like you said, I'd be comfortable letting a kid watch it for sure. Not as much as Attack on Titan. I'd be like, I don't know, but
That's you can pump the brakes there, but no, definitely.
Awesome. Number what? Well, we're not going to number him. So the next one. I'm glad we didn't do that because we would have started saying number da da da. You know what I mean? People are like, "What the fuck? You think this is above this?"
Yeah,
So
better than this. I know. You got a whole fucking controversy brewing up right there about some shit. You're just like,
brewing
whoa,
up.
whoa.
So this next show, I already told you before, and I've talked about it in the past with other people that have mentioned this show to me. I haven't actually watched it. Heard great things. It is something that is talked about all the time. You are right. This is the oldest one. It looks like Log Horizon and Attack on Titan are tied at 2013. So Log Horizon
What?
did come out 2013. Yeah, because remember
No,
there's a huge gap.
that must have been like a okay. Go continue.
Yeah, you look it up. You tell me. But Gurren Lagann in 2007 is when it said this came out. So, I shouldn't have said the name. Sorry, guys, ruined it for you. So I'll read the little description of the show. I'll read the description for you guys. This is the story of a man who is yet to realize what destiny holds in store for him. In the distant future, mankind has lived quietly and restlessly underground for hundreds of years. Subject to earthquakes and cave-ins, living in one such village are two young men, one named Simone, who is shy and naive, and the other named Kamina, who believes in the existence of a surface world above their heads. This show, I mean, I read that and I'm like, underground. Why you guys underground? Like, you know, like what's going on? Yeah, surface world, right? We're all like, well, fuck yeah, we live on the surface. So what's this about? That's what intrigues me. When I see that, I'm like, underground world? Like, okay, like kind of gritty, you know, like there's obviously something going on why they have to be underground. So that draws my attention right away. I will say this. I look at the picture and like we're talking about graphic art, definitely looks a little more kid friendly. I haven't watched this show, but maybe you can elaborate on that more because I know you have watched it.
Yeah, no, I've definitely watched it. It's a what did you say the year was? I guess Log
2007.
Horizon is 2013. So
so was I
yeah,
right? Or
I
was
mean, he's shit, but
yes, 2007 for Gurren Lagann, according to what I read.
yeah, but yeah, no, it is. It's definitely. I think you nailed it in terms of like the description is certainly what sold me when I first started kind of checking it out, and you just heard some things about it. You see some memes about it, some pictures about it, and like
Absolutely, over the years
they've got some of the crazy character designs and differing. I mean, it's really it's a mech. It's what do we base this as? We best is mech show or
mech. We did mech. Yes, yeah, mechs. Yeah, that's what we called it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this was in our mech category. So I mean, it is definitely again probably another one similar to Log Horizon where I'm trying to I'm pretty sure I would say that this is a pretty kid friendly show. The only thing that's holding me up on it, the one of the main characters. I mean, she's banging. I can't remember if it was like
I'm looking at a picture of her right now.
If it was overtly. I mean, it's been a couple years since I saw this show, but
yeah.
I think I would be pretty comfortable saying a kid could watch this, kid could get into it. But even just and let me preface, just because I'm saying a kid can get into it doesn't mean somebody older can't get into it. I mean, I'm sitting here and fuck. What was I? Probably like mid-20s some shit then when I watched this show, and it's like
definitely.
It was still badass. It was still gripping. I think if I remember, and I have a problem with some of my memories, just some of the stuff I do, but. It definitely hits you in the feels. I think there was some real hard feel moments in this show where I was like, "Oh man, let me close my door real quick. I don't need this guy seeing me across the hallway in the state I'm in right now, right?" Like, Um,
Oh, that's
so
hilarious.
certainly some shit like that, right? But it's a good story. I think you hit on it too. You just read the description alone, and you're kind of like, as you were kind of reading that, not to track too far off. You know what I was
Yeah.
thinking? I was thinking of that movie, The
The one we were
Blame.
talking about.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Blame movie. That's what it
100%.
reminded me, like being stuck underground and you don't know what the fuck happened. And
Society is different. Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
And for a little plug
and
on
I'm not
that
gonna
out
say
there,
that it's the
Blame.
same. Yeah, it's the same thing, but
Yeah. Well, seeing how you mentioned it, we might as well tell people because people are going to see that and say, Blame? What? So there's a movie out there, anime movie called Blame. 2 exclamation points at the end of it, just for elaboration. Dope ass movie. Similar description.
mm,
So, in case you're like, you know what, I don't want to get into a show, but I watch a movie. There you go. It's a freebie. It wasn't part of our list, but that's a good plug right there, man. Yeah, no, definitely. You're right. I read that as soon as I read Underground. I thought of that movie instantly.
yeah, maybe they could send us royalties.
Maybe. What we got next?
So I think coming up next on what I've got, right, we're getting into this is probably a newer show. I don't think it's that old. Maybe I think right now. I think season 3 is on right now. And I've been pissed. I've been hitting up I get on my Funimation, dude. I'm like, they've been stuck on the same fucking episode for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks now or something. They must be on a break. Something must have happened. I don't know what's going on, but this is probably one of my more favorite shows, recent, I guess, favorite show. You're talking the past couple years or so. I mean, I think I was telling you when I first found this show, I was like, dude, you guys got to watch this shit. This shit is
You
fucking
did.
great. It hits everything very good in terms of story, action,
The realism is what
gripping.
pulled me into it,
The
to be
real
honest.
well, and then so this is probably the first show that we get into that I'd kind of say is a timepiece, or what do we break this shit down as?
We did. No,
Oh
timepiece or
yeah,
realistic.
timepiece, yeah, timepiece or
Hmm.
realistic, right? Where it's actually focused on a specific past. I mean, obviously not verbatim or word for word on some story that happened in the past or anything like that, but really kind of getting into it, right? So early 1900s in Hokkaido after the Russo-Japanese War. Sachi Sugimoto tirelessly pans for gold. Nicknamed Sugimoto the Immortal for his death-defying acts in battle, the ex-soldier seeks fortune in order to fulfill a promise made to his best friend before he was killed in action. This is in order to support his family, his best friend's family, especially his widow, who needs treatment overseas for deteriorating eyesight. One day, a drunken
Mm.
companion tells Sugimoto the tale of a man who was murdered by a group of Ainu and stole a fortune in gold. Before his arrest by police, the Ainu man hid the gold somewhere in Hokkaido. The only clue to its location is a coded map he tattooed on the body of his cellmates in exchange for a share of the treasure. Should they manage to
Mm.
escape and find that treasure? So I think this is one where right off the bat, not a kid, not kid friendly.
No.
There's this is definitely
Definitely not.
definitely a more adult based show, I would
Hmm.
say. Not even in terms of like overtly like sexual or anything like that. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there is certainly those kind of parts, just not from like a more fan service. It's more of a comedic value, I would
Yeah,
say.
definitely.
But
No, it's got some good moments, comedy wise.
savagery, I mean, the savagery and certain scenes that happens in the show is definitely up there with kind of what you would expect from an Attack on Titan, and as far as people losing limbs, body
You
parts,
ever seen the
the
movie Hostel? You know what's up.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, I think you get it from the description alone, right? The whole way that they hunt this treasure, try to find this treasure, is you have to find these prisoners who have escaped from prison and were tattooed with the map. So if you're talking about 20 people, 20 different prisoners that all have the map tattooed on them, obviously you can't just have 20 people line up and look at that map. I mean, what do you do to get that map off of them?
Yeah, right. I won't say it.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll leave that up there. But I mean, you can just assume like, hey, that's what we're looking for out here. So that's definitely. But I mean, great fucking show. It's hilarious. It's touching, hits the feels,
It's
hits the
touchy.
action.
No, it is. It is.
Touching, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
for
heard
sure,
you.
dude. There's
I
some
heard you.
sad moments in that shit where you're just like,
Definitely
fuck, dude.
makes you feel for the character. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'd say even more. I think this. If you're a person like me, like I mean, I think you know this about me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I love history. I think a lot of people do. Like I like watching history document. Oh my god, I can't talk right now. Jesus Christ. History documentaries. Don't know why that was so hard to say, but they're always so interesting because there's so much information that you can digest and like
Mhm.
even maybe how we in the back, oh, you wrote your history book in America. Well, of course America's going to leave out a couple fucking things, and if you read a history book over in let's just Russia, they're going to probably leave out some things too, right? So I love the take, like you said, it's not going to be a 100% depiction of what was the era, would you say it was?
This happened during the right after the Russo-Japanese War. So
and
this was like
and that is a real
this was
thing.
like, yeah, like late 1800s, early 1900s.
So I think if you're someone out there listening right now and you've made it all the way in 40 minutes with us, and we applaud you for that, you know what I mean? Because we got some good stuff here for you guys to watch. This is the kind of show that if you want to
You
see
feel
something a
fucking
little
blessed.
and if you want to see something a little more realistic where you can kind of like maybe you end up going like you look up that era and that time and you're like, oh shit, there's some they did the research, they did some fact finding, and they brought it to the show. That's what I like about the show so much, is it has that ultra
Hmm.
realistic feel. The action, like you said, so fucking quality. The comedy is great. The side character, her faces that she does fucking kills me. Kills me.
Hina.
Yeah. There's these little things and memes if you go out there and pay attention to. They're super hilarious. So I'm right there on deck with you. That's a good one. Very good
Yeah.
show.
And I hadn't even thought about that. I think that was a great point you brought up from the historical aspect, right? I mean, fuck, I mean, it makes sense. That's why we put it into the timepiece slot, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at it from the weaponry they're using to how the what they portray, what you see in the show
Hmm.
at that time is evolving as far as technological advancements, even how they're cooking food, how they're preparing food,
Yeah.
the transportation, all that different shit, right? It's very. I, I'm not a history buff. I don't know. Maybe somebody who's an expert in the Russo-Japanese War is like, nah, this shit's fucking lies, wrong, right?
Probably.
But from how
Yeah.
I'm watching it and how I'm seeing it, I'm like, oh damn, these guys doing a really good job. This fucking and that I think we both felt that. That's why we hit it in the timepiece era.
Yeah. Definitely. 100%. And so this next category is, I think it's a pretty popular category. We only put 3 on it. And when we're putting these lists together for you guys, I can't say enough how tough it is to really break some of these down. Like
Oh, and we went back and forth on some of these things a lot, right? And it
a
was
lot, a lot.
especially within this one and the category that we were contending it with.
Yes. Because like all of these can easily go into a fantasy world. Like, I mean, we don't have fucking superpowers. So, and a lot of these shows have some kind of power thing going on sometimes. Now, I
Or
shouldn't say
even
all,
too, like the
a
other
lot of
species that are in that world and the other, things that plant life, just how the world within itself is portrayed.
Yeah. And so I won't say, because the name is kind of I don't want to say the type of genre we put it yet. I'll read the description and then we'll talk about that. So when a 34-year-old underachiever gets run over by a truck, his story doesn't end there. Reincarnated in a new world as an infant. Oh, well, there you go. Reincarnated is a category. Rudy will seize every opportunity to live the life he's always wanted. Armed with some friends, some freshly acquired magic abilities, and the courage to do the things he's always dreamed of, he's embarking on an epic adventure with all of his past experience intact. I'm not going to lie. Out of everyone we read, this is a description I like the least because it is so
Yeah.
misleading. Like, you know what I mean? Let me read it in my way. When a 34-year-old fat fuck underachiever who has no life gets run over by a truck, his story doesn't end there. He gets reincarnated in the world as an infant with all of his experience intact and he
Which is
seizes that
no
opportunity,
experience.
which is but he can think from his previous world. Rudy seizes his opportunity to live the life he's always wanted because he was a loser, armed with new friends, some magic abilities, and that would be my way of describing that because it is so misleading. But
Yeah.
not to shit on the show because we do both love this show. So it's called Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. It is. I don't want to give too much away, but those first couple episodes, like this is an adult show. Do not have the kid
Yeah.
next to you watching it. It seems kid friendly, but the sexual content in this show, the first couple episodes is. I mean, and people are like, "Oh my god!" Dude. I mean, like, hey, come on, everyone around here watch Spartacus. Everyone here, Game of Thrones. There's tons of sex scenes and all that shit. Californication, like every. So when people are like, "Oh my god," because it's cartoons doing it, I'm like, "Come on, shut the fuck up." But
Yeah, we're targeting kids. This is for kids.
right, so the same
Oh,
thing with
no,
the
no.
flavored tobacco. Like, they got that wrong
Yeah, these scumbag Californians.
So, but this show, yeah, it hits, and we keep saying hits on a lot of notes. I'll say it hits on a good amount. I'm not going to say it hits on everything. There is a lot
Yeah.
of balance, though.
Mhm.
They do.
I think from the ones that like you mentioned, right? This came out of our reincarnated
Yeah,
subcategory, and that was a hard
it was
subcategory to break
tough.
down in terms of how you can really classify the reincarnation of that, right? It wasn't
Yeah,
just, hey, you got summoned to another world, or hey, whatever. It's like, hey,
you
fuck,
died.
you died, motherfucker. You were dead in the past
Mm-hmm.
world, and now for whatever reason something happened, and you're coming back in the new one.
Exactly. And it's funny because they label this adventure, drama, and fantasy. And I mean, fantasy makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
drama too. Adventure, the only reason I hate that term is because like every show and movie is an adventure
Technically,
in
yeah.
some
I
way.
mean,
You're going from one point to the
it's almost kind
next.
of a cop
It's the
out.
journey.
It's a cop out genre, really, to kind of
Yes,
just like put it into a wider subgroup of things that it could be.
that's why we didn't label any of our shit adventure because we could. Okay, well, let's just put 75
Like,
fucking shows under that
fuck,
thing.
everything could be adventure, right? Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this show is definitely for the mature audience. It's got good comedy. I do like the learning aspect. You know what I mean? In the very
Mm-hmm.
beginning, uh, he it incorporates a good time skip and showing a growth of a character without having to watch 100 episodes to get to the point where they get at towards the end of the first season. You know what I mean? So I commend them for that. Comedy is on point. Like the voice actor for this particular show is perfect for the
Oh,
34-year-old
hilarious!
underachiever.
Yeah,
It is
he nails
so
it.
good. I'll
Nails
have to
it.
look up. I'll look up his name once you do your next one right here before I do
Well, I
my
think it's a
last
little bit
one.
different for us too, right? You watched it predominantly dubbed. I watched it mostly subbed.
That's true. You did. Yeah, you
And
did.
I think even still, it pertains to both, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Hey, time check 4:48. By the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take over the next one then.
Yeah. So I think trying to get into the following one, right? We'll just get it down to this is another great one, right? Synopsis breakdown that we're looking into. So Tokyo is burning. Citizens are mysteriously suffering from a spontaneous human combustion all throughout the city. Responsible for snuffing out this inferno is the fire force. And our main character, Shinra, is ready to join the fight. Now, as part of Company 8, Shinra is going to use his devil footprints to help keep the city from turning to ash. But his past and burning secret behind the scenes could set everything ablaze. So this
Mm, mm,
show,
mm, mm.
this is Fire Force for those who are unaware.
Love
This
it.
is definitely a show, probably more on the I'd say what like shonen kind of very
It is definitely shonen.
I,
It's got to be.
I was thinking about it. I was like, hey, first season for sure, yeah, kind of a I don't want to say kiddie because there's definitely some darker tropes and some darker things that are going on, and it's kind of like lighthearted in terms of like, oh hey, I got my rival and my other companies, and we're kind of going against each other trying to be better and improve. But then I'm thinking about second season, I'm like, oh fuck dude, like I don't know, that little kid should be watching, or kids in general should be watching the second season. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that you think about some of the shit that happens in that, but But really, this is just a
Oh
great,
boy.
yeah,
Yeah.
action pass. Definitely. What did this come out of? This came out of our special abilities kind of category, right? You
Hmm.
know, so and again, like we were mentioned, this could be the adventure, this could be fucking fantasy, could be all that other shit, but we kind of narrowed it down to a point where it's like, hey, outside of is this modern world, is this past world, right? Okay, hey, yeah, those could be a category of themselves, but do they have some kind of special ability that the main characters have that set them apart from everybody else? And that's what this is.
Everyone
You think
else.
about Fire
Yeah.
Force, this is really kind of, I'd say, almost an homage to firefighters and all the shit that they have to go through. I mean, I think the show does a really great job kind of portraying all the different scenarios that they get stuck in. And I don't know. I'm not a fucking firefighter. I don't know what they're worried about, what they go through and shit, right? You know, but I would assume from the worry of trying to save people, trying to put this fire out to preserve the building or the city or whatever, right? You know, I think they do a really good job kind of building up the tension to throughout this season to the point where you're just like, oh fuck, dude, I gotta know what happens next. I gotta see what the culmination of this is, what the end game is.
Hmm.
Did he succeed? Did he not succeed? Did the company succeed?
Yeah. Yeah. The show is. I'm sitting here trying to think about what's saying it because this is the one I recommended to you, right? And not
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have got around to it eventually, but
No, no.
um, it's it's a good show. I think it pays homage to a lot of those others. Like you said, like it's got that shonen category, the feel to it, and I love what you said about the firefighter stuff. Like I definitely get that that team feel, which I obviously know some people in real life that are firefighters, and we play football. You know what I mean? All those kind of aspects, like you have that brotherhood and team aspect, and you definitely
Yeah.
get that with Fire Force. You get that brotherhood feeling. I would die for you and help you out to combat these flames and these other stuff. And to elaborate, it's not flames. What do they call them? Do they say in the description?
Not specifically, but I mean
So there's people that are bursting into flames. Essentially, I won't say more than that. And so it causes this whole thing where you need special firefighters with special abilities, and that's who these people are. But yeah, gripping show. Like you said, first season, you definitely get that feel of, oh, like a little kid could watch this. But then the second season, you're like, all right, little Timmy, time to go to
Yeah,
bed.
like my
Uh,
take on it or
uh,
initially was like, hey, see, season one's definitely like a beginning Naruto kind of first season show, right? And
yeah.
then season
Hmm.
two just fucking jumps right into like Naruto Shippuden, where you're like, oh fucking, boom, you're dead, boom, you're dead. We're fucking the village up. Yo, you suck. You're out of here, right? You're like, holy shit, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Holy shit.
We just fucking 180.
Uh,
We might as well have 360 this son of a bitch, dude. Like.
Definitely throws you for a loop. No questions asked.
Yeah.
And pushing right along so we can have a nice little outro. We got, I won't say the name. I almost did it. Oh, geez. I'll read the description. This is a very popular show. I think even people that maybe know anime or not have heard of this one. I could be wrong, and we'd love to hear you guys' feedback on that, especially.
Yeah, I
So
think you're
without
wrong.
further ado, Yuji Itadori is a boy with tremendous physical strength. Though he lives a completely ordinary high school life, one day, to save a classmate who has been attacked by curses, he eats the finger of Roiman Sukuna, taking the curse into his own soul. From then on, he shares one body with Roiman and Sukuna, fuck that up for sure, guided by the most powerful of sorcerers, Satoru Gojo. Itadori is admitted to Tokyo Jujutsu High School, an organization that fights the curses, and thus begins the heroic tale of a boy who became a curse to exorcise a curse, a life from which he could never turn back. So you might have heard a little bit in there. It's Jujutsu. The show's called Jujutsu Kaisen. This show kind of took me by surprise. Like the premise and everything is kind of unique. Not that other shows they did similar-ish kind of stuff, but
I think the power
I wouldn't say
aspect
Dragon Ball.
is yeah,
Yeah,
the power aspect is
it,
what's unique about it for sure.
yeah, and like the fighting and everything it's really good. And I'm drawing a blank right now because it's been a little while since I watched it. The new season will come out, and I'll kind of dive
No,
back
we
into
could
it. So
tell.
yeah, okay. Can everyone tell out there, all
I
the
mean, you couldn't
listeners?
even, yeah, you
Yeah.
couldn't even pronounce the names. Dude. You're like, oh, da.
Shut the fuck up. You fucked up a name earlier too. But yeah, give the people a little bit more, and then we'll wrap up this show because we're on a time crunch right now. But yeah, it's a good show. Like I would, out of all the list of stuff, it's kind of hard for me to say definitively this one because I do like it a lot. But I would say this is the most like if you're into anime, watch this one. If you're not, I would check out the other ones first. To be
Well, I think this
honest.
is another one kind of where you start talking about like a Demon Slayer. The art
Mm-hmm.
aspect is definitely unique. How they portray some of the abilities is definitely not just your typical. I mean, it can be. I mean, it depends on how far you break all of this shit down, right? But it's definitely kind of it's again in that shonen-esque kind of Fire Force, Naruto, thought process, right? Like I think a lot of people kind of
Mm-hmm.
look at this, in a Naruto-esque way, whereas like Yuji's kind of not necessarily, the Naruto frame by frame. Gojo's not necessarily the Kakashi frame by frame.
True.
Megumi's not necessarily like the Sasuke frame by frame, but you can kind of you pull different aspects out of each of those characters and can compare that to the Naruto characters or even other characters as well from different shows, right? And I think the story, how it builds up is really great. And again, this is another kind of what did this came out like our school based fucking school learning or some shit. What do we have this titled as?
Yes, the category is school based. Yep.
Yeah, so this is like, hey, we're in school, we're trying to learn about fucking how to make our powers better. We got to stop the world from getting fucked up by these curses, and it's definitely a different take on um trying to think, what else you could equate it to from that standpoint. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now,
It's
but
tough.
it's
Yeah,
it's
no, it's
definitely a
tough,
unique
man.
show. It's a unique show for sure, but
Unique.
it has parallels to a lot of other great shows that I think people would appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you there. Man, 56 minutes to get through 10 shows. I thought we were going to have a little more time. We definitely elaborated on a lot of stuff. I like that a lot. And like I was saying, and I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, we want people to be commenting. We want to know what you guys think. We want you to talk about the shows. Maybe you just went and read it and you were going to start it and you're like, no. And we want to know why. Like, and because the idea leading into our next episodes, we're going to try to be interviewing people and we're going to give them maybe a little bit of homework, or maybe they'll come in and tell us what they do like and don't like. And that's the idea. The idea behind all this is to get you guys to put your blinders down and look at the wider picture here. Yes, anime is a taboo, but is that the only reason you're not watching it? Because if that is, kind of a weak fucking reason, in my book at least. What about you, Spencer?
No, I'd agree. I think, and kind of like we were hitting on earlier, right? We've been reaching out to a couple other people. Hey, try this, try this. I think, fuck, right? One of my favorite ones, probably one of my top five shows all time, right? Kingdom. I got somebody to recently catch up on that. And for those of you who know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard fucking get. You think about season one,
That's a
season two,
hard get.
that those are tough
So
seasons
bad.
to get through. Not the story's fucking
Great.
tremendous.
Sorry, I
I
should.
mean,
The
the action
animation
is
is so
great.
bad.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
animation is just fucking terrible. The CGI or whatever the fuck they tried to do. Fortunately, since it
Mm-hmm.
got the remake because the manga fucking slaps. Kingdom was the first show that made me start having to read the manga because I was like, "Fuck, dude, I need to know. I have to know what happens going forward."
You're
And so
committed
here
to
I
that. I
am,
could
dude.
never.
Fuck, earlier today, dude, I was reading the Raw chapter. That shit's still in fucking Korean, Chinese, whatever the fuck it is, dude. I'm just looking at the pictures. I'm like, oh fuck, dude, trying to figure out from the pictures what's going on. I can't even read the fucking bubbles or nothing, right? That's how fucking hooked I am.
Yeah. So, we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We're getting better and better at this every time. Like Spencer said, we're going off the cuff a little bit sometimes. So hit those comment boards. Let's have a highly animated discussion. See what I did there? And we appreciate you guys stopping by and listening. And yeah, Crunchyroll, why don't you fucking sponsor us? Thanks, guys. See you next time.